What up, doe? Welcome to the D. From the concrete of Gratiot to the hustle of 7 Mile. From the parties at Hart Plaza to the late nights on Jefferson. This is Detroit Tales and Stories, where the Motor City's realer stories come alive. We're taking you back to when the streets had their own rules, when your whip spoke louder than words, and when survival meant everything. The mid-'80s to the 2000s, when Detroit was raw, uncut, and unforgettable. These are the stories they don't tell you about, straight from the heart of the D. Detroit Tales and Stories. Real stories, real Detroit, real talk. Proof of worth. A Detroit Chronicles story. Fall 2001. Part 1. The Reckoning. October 2001. The autumn rain made Outer Drive slick as glass that Thursday evening. The kind of rain that turns fallen leaves into copper pennies on black asphalt. Antwan Grant sat in his 98 Lexus LS 400 outside Wyoming Foods on Wyoming near Joy Road, watching through rain-streaked windows as a woman in a Target uniform fumbled with grocery bags and an umbrella. She wasn't who he was waiting for. The radio played Musique Soul Child's Love at low volume. Antwan barely heard it. His mind was somewhere else, back on Rosedale Park, in the Tudor-style house he'd bought with Keya 6 years ago when they were still solid, when she still looked at him like he mattered. His two-way pager buzzed on the dash. A message from Angela Reese, his administrative director at the new office in Southfield. Patent filing confirmed. Investors calling all day. You good? Antwan thumbed a response. I'm straight. See you Monday. But he wasn't straight. Hadn't been since he found a hotel receipt in Keya's coach purse 3 weeks ago. The Westin on Washington Boulevard downtown. Room 1407, September 22nd. Their anniversary. She'd been at work, she'd said. Depositions running late at the law firm. He'd believed her because he wanted to. Because 12 years of marriage and a daughter in Cass Tech's honors program meant something. Because the house on Grandale Avenue with the beveled glass windows and manicured lawn was supposed to be their proof that two kids from the Eastside, him from Chalmers and Harper, her from Connor and Van Dyke, could make it to the other side. But the receipt told a different story, and when he'd called the Westin asking about charges on his American Express, they'd confirmed what his gut already knew. Keya Grant had checked in at 2:47 p.m. and checked out at 6:13 p.m. 4 hours. Long enough. His phone rang. Keya. Baby, where you at? Her voice had that sweet edge she used when she wanted something. Janai asking about you. I got dinner ready. Antwan stared at the rain. I'm handling something. Be there in a minute. What you handling? You been acting funny lately. I said I'll be there. He hung up before she could respond. The rain got heavier. Inside Wyoming Foods, through the bulletproof glass, he could see the clerk counting money behind the register. A couple of young boys in Roca-wear hoodies and Timberlands posted up near the payphone outside, checking their pagers every few seconds. Life going on like normal, while his was falling apart. His mind went back to when it started falling apart, when the lie began. Part 2, The Foundation, summer 1995. 6 years earlier, Antwan met Keya at Beans and Cornbread during the lunch rush in July 1995. He was 26, fresh out of Wayne State with an electrical engineering degree, and a job at a Detroit Edison. She was 24, a paralegal at a downtown firm, wearing a cream linen suit that made her look like she already had money. She'd been standing behind him in line, and when he turned around with his tray, fried catfish, collard greens, candied yams, and cornbread, he nearly dropped it when he saw her. "You gonna move or you gonna stand there staring?" she said, but she was smiling. They'd ended up sharing a table. Keya told him about growing up on the Eastside, about her mother working at Chrysler's Jefferson plant for 30 years, about her father who left when she was 9. Antwan told her about his own mother, a single parent who'd raised him and his sister in a 2-bedroom flat on Harper Avenue, working 2 jobs and still finding time to make sure he did his homework. "You got potential," Keya had said that day, dabbing hot sauce on her catfish with a napkin. "I can see it. You ain't like these other brothers out here." "What other brothers?" Antwan had asked, knowing exactly what she meant, but wanting to hear her say it. "The ones thinking small, the ones satisfied with the paycheck and a beer on Friday. You got ambition in your eyes. I like that." They started dating that August. By September, she met his mother. By December, he proposed at the top of the Renaissance Center during the Christmas light ceremony. The city spread out below them like a circuit board. They married in May 1996 at Hartford Memorial Baptist Church on James Cousins and Grand River. Reception at the Rooster Tail on the river. 200 guests. His mother had cried. So had Keya's. For different reasons he'd later understand. They moved into a small apartment in Sherwood Forest first, a 1-bedroom on Livernois West, near 7 Mile, saving every dollar for a down payment on a house in a better neighborhood. Antwan worked overtime at Detroit Edison. Keya picked up weekend paralegal work. They ate ramen noodles and better-made potato chips for dinner some nights, watched Martin reruns on UPN, made love on a mattress on the floor because they couldn't afford a bed frame yet. It was hard, but it was theirs. And when Janae was born in March 1997, 7 pounds, 6 ounces, with Keya's eyes and his smile, Antwan had sworn he'd give them everything. By 1999, they'd scraped together enough for the down payment on the house in Rosedale Park, a 3-bedroom Tudor on Grandale Avenue with leaded glass windows, a fireplace in the living room, and a backyard big enough for a swing set. The neighborhood was solid. College professors, postal supervisors, teachers, DTE managers, black families who made it but stayed in the city, pride on every manicured lawn. Keya had cried when they got the keys. "We really did it, baby. We really fucking did it." And for a while, everything was perfect. Part 3, The Crack, Spring, 2001. The first sign came in April. Antwan had been working late at his home office, his side project, a revolutionary smart grid management system he'd been developing in his spare time. He'd always been interested in emerging technologies, spent his nights after Janae went to bed reading research papers on digital power distribution, wireless sensor networks, advanced metering infrastructure. Most people didn't understand what he was working on, but Antwan saw something transformative, a way to modernize Detroit's aging power grid using digital technology, real-time monitoring, automated load balancing, predictive maintenance, the kind of innovation that could reduce energy waste by 70% while saving consumers money and making utilities more efficient. Keya hadn't understood it. When you're gonna focus on getting promoted at DTE instead of playing with computers all night? She'd ask, rolling her eyes. That night in April, She'd come home from work at 10:30 p.m., 3 hours later than usual. Her makeup was different, softer, like it had been reapplied. Depositions ran late, she said, kicking off her heels in the foyer. On a Thursday? Yeah, baby. You know how it is. She kissed his cheek quickly, her perfume stronger than it should have been after a 12-hour workday. I'm exhausted. I'm going to take a shower. He let it go because he trusted her, because marriage meant giving your partner the benefit of the doubt. But then it happened again in May and June, always on Thursdays, always depositions running late, always that same reapplied makeup, that fresh perfume. In July, her sister Shanice had let something slip at a family barbecue at Rouge Park. Girl, you still messing with that real estate guy from your office, Shanice had said, laughing, thinking Antwan wasn't within earshot. Shh. Keya's voice had dropped. I told you not to. What real estate guy? Antwan had appeared from around the corner, holding a plate of ribs. Both women froze. Shanice's eyes went wide. Keya recovered first. Just some paralegal at the firm. He won't stop talking about house flipping and investment properties. Drives everybody crazy. She laughed it off. Shanice being messy as usual. Antwan had nodded, smiled, let it go. But the seed was planted. Part 4. The Confirmation. September 2001. The morning of September 11th, 2001, changed everything for America. But for Antwan, the real devastation came 14 days later when he found the hotel receipt. He'd been looking for Tylenol in Keya's purse. She always kept pain meds in the side pocket when his fingers brushed against the folded paper. The Westin, room 1407, September 22nd, $247.89. Check-in, 2:47 p.m. Checkout, 6:13 p.m. Their anniversary, the day she'd said she was working late, the day he made reservations at the Whitney for dinner, only to have her call at 5:30 p.m. saying the depositions were running long. Baby, I'm so sorry. We'll celebrate this weekend, I promise. He'd eaten alone at the Elwood Bar and Grill instead, drinking Hennessy and watching the bartender wipe down glasses, trying not to feel like a fool. Now, holding that receipt in their master bedroom, the bedroom with the 4-poster bed they'd saved up for, the Egyptian cotton sheets Keya insisted they needed, the framed wedding photo on the nightstand where they both looked so damn young and happy. Antwan felt something inside him crack. He didn't confront her immediately. He needed to know for sure. Over the next week, he started paying attention. Really paying attention. The way she'd started going to the gym 4 times a week when she used to go twice. The way she'd bought new lingerie from Victoria's Secret. Black lace and red satin he'd never seen her wear. The way she kept her phone face down on every surface. The way she started talking about investment properties and building wealth and thinking bigger. On Thursday, October 4th, he followed her. She left the law firm downtown at 5:45 p.m. But instead of heading home up the Lodge Freeway, she drove to the Westin, parked in the garage, walked in through the lobby entrance with the confidence that said she'd done this before. Antwan waited 20 minutes. Then he walked into the lobby himself. The desk clerk wouldn't give him room numbers. Privacy policy, sir. But Antwan saw what he needed to see. Keya in the elevator with a man. Light-skinned brother, early 30s, sharp suit, fresh Caesar cut, Jewelry that caught the lobby light. They weren't touching, but they didn't need to. The way she smiled at him said everything. Antwan left before the elevator doors closed. He drove to Wyoming Foods and sat in the parking lot for 2 hours, watching the rain that hadn't started yet, listening to WMXD play Aaliyah songs as a tribute. She died just weeks ago in that plane crash, and the whole city was still mourning. Rock the Boat came on, and Antwan remembered dancing with Keya at their wedding reception, how she laid her head on his chest during the slow songs, how he'd whispered promises about forever. Forever was a lie. Part 5. The Betrayal. The Affair Revealed. He needed to know more, needed details, needed to understand how deep the betrayal went. It took him 3 days to hack into Keya's phone. He was an engineer. Cracking a 4-digit passcode wasn't hard when you knew your wife's patterns. Her birthday, Janae's birthday, their anniversary. Try enough combinations, and eventually you break through. What he found broke him. Text messages going back 6 months. Hundreds of them, to a number saved as D. Antwan knew what D stood for when he saw the messages. April 18, 2001 D. You still thinking about yesterday? Because I can't stop thinking about that hotel room. Keya, I shouldn't have. I'm married. D, but you did, and you loved every second of it. Keya, double quote. D, don't go ghost on me. We both know you ain't satisfied at home. When's the last time he made you feel like I did? May 2nd, 2001. Keya, Antwan keeps talking about his smart grid project, like that's gonna pay our bills. D, that's the problem with regular dudes. No vision, no understanding of where the money's really at. Keya, you really think this house flipping thing is the future? D, baby, I know it is. I just closed on 3 properties in Palmer Park. Made $140,000 profit in 4 months. By next year, I'll be at $1 million. Keya, take me with you. D, I am. Thursday, same room. May 9th, 2001. D, you wearing what I bought you? Keya, the black set? Yeah. D, send me a picture. And she had. Antwan's stomach turned looking at the photos. His wife, in lingerie he'd never seen, poses she'd never done for him. The messages got more explicit, more detailed, describing what they'd done, what they planned to do next time. June 14, 2001 D. Last Thursday was crazy. The way you rode me, the way you called my name when you came. Keya, stop. I can't be thinking about that at work. D, you were thinking about it when you were on your knees in that hotel room. Keya, you so nasty. D, and you love it. Bet you didn't even give him none when you got home. Keya, he was asleep when I got there. D, even if he wasn't, you wasn't thinking about him. You was still feeling me inside you. Antwan had to put the phone down, had to walk away, had to breathe, but he went back. Read more. July 19, 2001. D, I'm taking you to Miami next month. We deserve a real vacation. Keya, how I'm supposed to explain that to Antwan? D, tell him it's a work conference. You good at lying now? Keya, that's fucked up. D, but true. Anyway, you've been lying to him for months. What's one more? August 23rd, 2001. Keya, I think I'm falling for you. D, you think or you know? Keya, I know. D. Then leave him. Stop wasting time with a man who can't appreciate you. Keya. It's not that simple. We have Janae. We have the house. D. And I got money. I'll take care of both of you. Way better than he's doing. Keya. Let me think about it. September 22nd, 2001. Their anniversary. D. Happy anniversary to me. Keya. You stupid Lowell. D. I'm serious. This is our day now, not his. Keya. He made reservations at the Whitney. D. And you canceling them to be with me. That should tell you everything. Keya. Room 1407? D. Already booked. And I got you something special. Keya. What? D. You'll see. Wear that red set. Later that night, after she canceled on Antwan, Keya. I can't stop shaking. That was D. Better than anything he's ever given you. Keya. Yes. D. Say it again. Keya. You're better than him. In every way. D. That's my girl. Antwan closed the messages, sat in his home office, looked out the window at the neighborhood he'd worked so hard to give her. The trees turning autumn colors, the house with their perfect lawns, the life they'd built. All of it a lie. Part 6. Her family, the disrespect. Keya's family had never truly respected him. He'd known that from the beginning, but he'd hoped marriage would change things. It hadn't. Her mother, Dorothy Washington, had made it clear at their engagement dinner that she'd expected Keya to do better. Not directly. Dorothy was too church polished for that, but in the small comments, the backhanded compliments. An engineer at DTE, that's stable, she said, the word stable carrying the weight of disappointment. Keya's cousin married a doctor. A surgeon, actually. They just bought a house in Palmer Woods. Keya's brother Marcus was worse. Worked as a loan officer at Comerica. Drove a leased BMW 540i. Wore suits that cost more than Antwan's monthly car note. At every family gathering, Christmas at Dorothy's house in Sherwood Forest, Thanksgiving at Marcus's condo in Southfield, summer barbecues at Rouge Park, Marcus would make his comments. You still driving that Lexus? Man, you need to upgrade. Get yourself a Mercedes. Show people you're serious. Keya was telling me about your computer project, that grid thing. Man, when you're gonna focus on your real career, you work at DTE, not IBM. I'm thinking about getting into real estate, flipping houses, making some real money, you feel me? Not that 9 to 5 money, that's for regular folks. Antwan would smile, nod, keep his mouth shut, because Keya had asked him to. They don't mean nothing by it, baby. That's just how they are. But it meant something to Antwan. It meant they looked at him and saw less than, saw someone who wasn't flashy enough, wasn't successful enough, wasn't worthy of their daughter and sister. At Janae's 8th birthday party in March 2001, held at their house in Rosedale Park, with a moonwalk in the backyard and a table full of better-made chips, Little Caesars pizza, and Faygo Red Pop, Marcus had pulled Keya aside. Antwan had overheard from the kitchen. You doing okay, sis? Financially, I mean, we're fine, Marcus. 'Cause if y'all need help, I can lend you. We don't need help. Antwan takes care of us. I'm just saying, that engineer salary can only stretch so far, especially with him spending all his time on that hobby project instead of focusing on getting promoted. Keya hadn't defended him, just changed the subject. At Dorothy's birthday dinner in June 2001, At Sweet Georgia Brown on Livernois, the disrespect had escalated. "Antwan, baby," Dorothy had said, her voice sweet as church fan. "When you gonna give my daughter the life she deserves? She grew up in Chrysler money. She knows what comfortable looks like." "Mom," Keya had started. "I'm just saying, my baby is used to a certain standard. Keya, remember when your father and I had that house in Indian Village? Lord, we were living." Antwan had put down his fork. "Mrs. Washington, I provide for my family. We have a nice home in a good neighborhood. Janae's in a gifted program at one of the best schools in the city. We're doing fine." Fine and thriving are two different things, baby. The table had gotten quiet. Keya had looked at her lap. Marcus had smirked into his drink. Antwan had gone to the bathroom and stayed there for 15 minutes, staring at himself in the mirror, wondering when he'd become the family joke. Now, sitting in his Lexus outside Wyoming Foods in October 2001, he understood. They'd never thought he was good enough, and eventually, Keya had started believing it too. Part 7. The Desperation. Antwan's Attempts. He tried everything to save the marriage. Everything. After he found the hotel receipt, but before he'd seen the messages, he'd made every effort a man could make. He'd taken her to Selden Blues on Livernois for a date night. Just the two of them. Dinner and live jazz. Keya had spent the whole time on her phone. "Baby, can you put that down? This is supposed to be our time. I'm just checking work emails." But he glanced at the screen when she wasn't looking. Text messages. To D. He'd booked a weekend getaway to Cedar Point. Janae stayed with his mother. 2 nights at the Breakers Hotel. Roller coasters and beach walks and promises to reconnect. Keya had complained about the drive, about the crowds, about how they should have gone somewhere more sophisticated. Like where? Antwan had asked, frustrated. Like Miami or Atlanta, somewhere we can actually enjoy ourselves. He tried counseling, made an appointment with a marriage therapist in Southfield, begged Keya to go with him. "I don't need therapy," she'd said. "I'm fine. You're the one with trust issues." Trust issues? Keya, you've been coming home late every Thursday for months. Because I'm working. Jesus, Antwan, you gonna penalize me for being committed to my career? He let it drop, because what could he say without proof? He tried studying smart grid technology more seriously. Enrolled in online courses through MIT, bought books on distributed energy systems and wireless sensor networks, spent his lunch breaks at work reading about digital transformation in the utility industry. Thought maybe if he could speak Keya's language, the language of building wealth and success, she'd see him differently. He'd even pitched her on his system. Baby, listen, I've been working on something that could revolutionize energy distribution. Using digital technology to create intelligent power grids, it could reduce waste by 70% while saving consumers money and making utilities more efficient. Keya had barely looked up from her magazine. Essence. Some article about leveling up your life? That's nice, baby. No, I'm serious. I filed a provisional patent. I've been in contact with some utility companies in Ohio. This could be big. Keya, are you even listening? She looked at him then, really looked at him. And in her eyes, he'd seen it. The thing he'd been trying to ignore for months. She was done with him. Had been for a while. Was just waiting for the right time to leave. I'm listening, Antwan. But between you and me, this whole smart grid thing sounds like a pipe dream. You've got a good job at DTE. Why can't you just be satisfied with that? Because I want more. For us. For Janae. For our future. Then focus on getting promoted at DTE. Not on some computer project that's probably never going to work. That had been in August, 2 weeks before their anniversary, 2 weeks before she'd fucked another man in a hotel room instead of celebrating 12 years of marriage. Part 8, the pain, the breaking point. The worst part wasn't the cheating. It was the realization that Keya had checked out long before D came into the picture. Antwan replayed their marriage in his mind like a broken record, looking for the moment it died. Was it when Janae was born and Keya started resenting how much time motherhood took from her career? Was it when they bought the house in Rosedale Park and she realized her neighbors were doctors and business owners while he was just an engineer? Was it when Marcus got promoted to senior loan officer and started making 6 figures while Antwan was still grinding at DTE? Or was it earlier? Was it always this way? Had she ever really loved him? Or had he just been a safe choice? A good man, a stable man, the kind of man you marry when you're 24 and scared of ending up alone, the kind of man you leave when someone more exciting comes along. He'd cried for the first time in 15 years on a Sunday night in late September. Janae was at a sleepover. Keya was at the gym. Antwan sat in their living room, the room with the fireplace they'd never used, the furniture they'd picked out together at Art Van, the family photos on the mantle that now felt like lies. And he wept. For the life he thought they had, for the woman he'd loved who'd become a stranger, for the promises made on a spring day in 1996 at Hartford Memorial Baptist Church, for the years of work and sacrifice and loyalty that meant nothing now. He'd wanted to hate her, wanted to scream and break things and demand answers, but mostly he just felt empty, hollowed out, like someone had reached inside his chest and removed everything that mattered. That night, alone at their house, Antwan made a decision. He wouldn't beg anymore, wouldn't try to fix what she'd already broken, wouldn't lower himself any further for a woman who'd already decided he wasn't enough. He'd focus on the one thing that had never betrayed him, his work, the smart grid system. DeltaGrid Technologies, he'd named it, a revolutionary approach to power distribution, using digital technology and wireless sensor networks. Not about get-rich-quick schemes or flipping houses. About real innovation, real solutions, real value. If Keya and her family wanted to see him as small, as lacking vision, as unworthy, fine. He'd prove them wrong. Not for them, for himself. And maybe, just maybe, for Janae. So his daughter would know her father wasn't what they said he was. Part 9, The Rise, DeltaGrid Technologies. Antwan disappeared into his work with the kind of focus that only Heartbreak can produce. Every night after Keya went to sleep, or pretended to, her phone glowing under the covers as she texted D, Antwan would go to his home office and work. Refine the system architecture, test load balancing algorithms, document processes, build something real out of nothing but his engineering degree and his pain. By October 2001, he'd made a breakthrough, a way to integrate wireless sensor networks with automated grid management that could reduce energy waste by 73%. While improving reliability and reducing costs, the kind of innovation that could transform the entire utility industry. He filed the full patent on October 15th, 2 weeks before Halloween. The lawyer handling it, A brother named Terrence from Cooley Law, who'd gone to Cass Tech same years as Antwan's cousin, called it groundbreaking. Man, if this works the way you're describing, you could license this to every power company in the country, maybe the world. If it works, Antwan had said. When it works, Terrence corrected. This is brilliant, Antwan. Seriously. On October 22nd, Antwan presented the system at a technology conference in Ann Arbor, University of Michigan's College of Engineering. Mostly white faces in the audience. Venture capitalists, utility executives, tech consultants, but a few brothers too. Engineers and managers who understood. His presentation lasted 40 minutes. When he finished, the room was silent for 3 seconds. Then someone started clapping, then everyone. Within a week, he had 6 utility companies calling. Within 2 weeks, he had offers to fund a full startup. Within a month, he had his first licensing deal, a pilot program with a mid-sized power company in Ohio. DeltaGrid Technologies launched officially in November 2001. Antwan quit his job at Detroit Edison in December, used his 401k and savings to rent office space in Southfield, a small suite on Northwestern Highway, but professional, clean, real. He hired Angela Reese as his first employee. They'd met at a business networking event in Oak Park in September, before everything fell apart with Keya. Angela was 32, master's degree in business administration from Michigan State, sharp as they come. She'd been working as a project manager for a consulting firm in Troy, but was ready for something new. I believe in what you're building, she told him during the interview, and I believe in people who bet on themselves. She had her own story, survived domestic violence in her 20s, rebuilt herself from nothing, understood what it meant to start over. Angela kept the books, handled HR, managed investors, and reminded Antwan on his worst days that the work mattered. Not just the technology, but the example. A black man from Harper Avenue, building something revolutionary. Proof that vision wasn't about where you came from or what car you drove. It was about what you built when nobody believed in you. By March 2002, DeltaGrid had 10 employees. By June, they'd closed a Series A funding round, $8 million. Antwan moved the company to a bigger office in Southfield, bought his mother a house in Redford with a backyard and a garage, bought himself a Mercedes-Benz S-Class, not for flash, but because he could, because he'd earned it, and because he wanted Keya's family to see. Part 10, the divorce, leaving. Antwan filed for divorce in February 2002. Keya acted surprised, hurt even, like she hadn't seen it coming. Baby, why? We can work through this. Whatever I did, whatever you did, Antwan had laughed, bitter, hollow. Keya, don't insult me. I don't know what you're talking about. He'd shown her the printouts, the text messages, the hotel receipts, all of it. She'd gone pale, silent, then angry. You went through my phone. You violated my privacy. I violated your privacy. That's really where you want to go with this? It didn't mean anything. It was a mistake. We can fix this. I tried to fix it. For months, while you were fucking another man in hotel rooms on our anniversary. Keya had cried then. Real tears. But Antwan couldn't tell if she was crying for him or for herself. for what she'd lost or for getting caught. The divorce took 8 months. Keya fought for everything. The house, half his business, alimony, full custody of Janae. Her lawyer, a woman named Patricia, who looked like she ate men for breakfast, tried to paint Antwan as an absent father who'd chosen his startup over his family. Antwan's lawyer destroyed that narrative in court, showed records of every parent-teacher conference Antwan attended, every school event, every time he'd pick Janae up from Cass Tech, every weekend they'd spent together, showed the timeline of Keya's affair, showed the hotel receipts, the text messages, everything. The judge, a black woman named Carolyn Mitchell, who wore her hair natural and her expression stern, had looked at Keya with something like disappointment. "Mrs. Grant, you engaged in an extramarital affair while your husband was working to provide for your family. You canceled anniversary plans to meet your paramour in a hotel. You repeatedly lied to your husband about your whereabouts. And now you want full custody and half of a business you had no hand in building." Keya's lawyer had tried to interrupt. Judge Mitchell had shut it down. "I've heard enough. Joint custody, primary residence with Mr. Grant if he chooses. No alimony. The house is marital property, so it will be sold and proceeds split. Mrs. Grant has no claim to DeltaGrid Technologies, as it was founded after the marriage had effectively ended due to her actions." Antwan had walked out of that courtroom feeling nothing. No joy, no vindication, just tired. Keya had tried to talk to him in the parking lot of the Coleman A. Young Municipal Center. "I'm sorry. I really am. I made a mistake." "It wasn't a mistake, Keya. It was a choice. Every Thursday for 6 months. Every lie. Every time you looked at me like I wasn't enough. Those were all choices." "Where's D now?" Antwan asked. "The real estate guy with all the vision and money. Where's he at?" Keya looked away. "That's what I thought," Antwan said. "He disappeared when you got caught, didn't he? Because that's what men like that do. They're only around for the fun part, not the consequences." He walked to his Mercedes, drove away, never looked back. Part 11, The Transformation, Angela. Angela Reese became Chief Operating Officer of DeltaGrid Technologies in January 2003. She'd earned it, built the company's operations from scratch, managed a team of 40 employees, negotiated licensing deals with utility companies across 12 states, turned Antwan's brilliant engineering into a billion-dollar business model. But more than that, she'd become his friend, his confidant, the person who understood him in ways Keya never had. They started having lunch together every Friday at Sweet Georgia Brown, talking about work at first, then about life. Angela told him about her ex-husband, a man who'd beat her so badly once she'd lost hearing in her left ear. About the shelter she'd stayed in for 3 months, about rebuilding herself with night classes and determination and therapy. Antwan told her about Keya, about the affair, about the pain, about feeling like he was never enough for someone he'd given everything to. "You were always enough," Angela had said one Friday in March. She just couldn't see it. "How do you know?" "Because I see it every day. The way you treat people, the way you fight for this company, the way you show up for Janae even when you're exhausted. You're more than enough, Antwan. You're exceptional." They started dating in May, slowly, carefully. 2 wounded people learning to trust again. Angela didn't care about Flash, didn't need him to prove anything, loved him for who he was, not what he could become. They got married in November 2003. Small ceremony at Greater Grace Temple, the same church that stood where Edgewater Amusement Park used to be, where old Detroiters remembered first dates and first loves. Janae was the flower girl. Antwan's mother cried happy tears this time. Keya wasn't invited, but she found out. She always found out. Part 12, The Encounter, October 2004. Antwan saw Keya again 3 years after the divorce. Detroit Metropolitan Airport, McNamara Terminal. He was flying to San Francisco to meet with Pacific Gas and Electric about a statewide rollout. Angela was with him, her hand in his, both of them laughing about something Janai had said that morning. And there was Keya, working the rental car counter, Avis uniform, name tag, hair pulled back in a ponytail instead of the sophisticated style she used to wear. No makeup, tired eyes. She saw them before they saw her. Antwan watched her face change. Recognition, shock, something like grief. He walked over. Angela squeezed his hand but didn't say anything. Keya, Antwan. Her voice was small. Hi. You working here now? Yeah. Paralegal jobs are hard to come by, especially after. She didn't finish. Didn't have to. After the law firm found out about the affair with a client, Dee had been a client. Antwan learned later she'd been fired. This is Angela, Antwan said. My wife. Keya's eyes filled with tears. I know. I saw the photos on Facebook. You look happy. I am. Janae talks about her all the time. Says she's nice. Says you're doing good. We are. Silence. The airport sounds around them. Announcements, luggage wheels, people rushing to gates. I'm sorry, Keya said finally, for everything. You deserve better than what I gave you. Yeah, Antwan said. I did. He wasn't angry anymore, wasn't hurt, just done. I saw the news about DeltaGrid, Keya said. Forbes 30 under 30, revolutionary technology, changing the energy industry. I'm proud of you. Are you? I am. I really am. She wiped her eyes. For what it's worth, I was wrong. About everything. You were always the one with vision. I just couldn't see it. Antwan nodded. Take care of yourself, Keya. He walked away, Angela beside him, toward their gate, toward their life. Keya watched them go, and in that moment, standing at the Avis counter in her uniform, she understood what she lost. Not the money, not the success, but the man who would have given her everything if she just believed in him. Epilogue, The Legacy, 2005. By 2005, DeltaGrid Technologies was valued at over $1 billion. The smart grid technology had been licensed by utility companies in 43 states and 12 countries. Antwan had been featured in Black Enterprise, Forbes, and MIT Technology Review, called The Quiet Genius Revolutionizing Sustainable Energy Infrastructure. He bought a house in Palmer Woods, the neighborhood Keya's mother had once bragged about. 5 bedrooms, pool, home office with floor-to-ceiling windows. But he kept the humility his mother had taught him. Still drove through the old neighborhood on Harper Avenue sometimes. Still ate at beans and cornbread. Still remembered where he came from. Angela had given birth to their son Marcus in February 2005. Named after Antwan's late father, not Keya's brother. The family was whole, happy, Real. Janae was thriving. 16 years old, honor roll at Cass Tech, early acceptance to Michigan State. She split her time between Antwan's house and Keya's apartment in Redford. She loved her mother, but she saw the truth, knew who had been there, who had believed. Keya had moved on too, in her way. Still worked at the airport, still struggled. But she stopped chasing the fantasy, stopped looking for someone to make her feel special. Just tried to be present for Janae when she could. D had disappeared completely. Last anyone heard, he'd filed for bankruptcy after the real estate market started cooling. The empire he'd bragged about had been mostly smoke and mirrors, over-leveraged properties, balloon mortgages he couldn't cover, the kind of hustle that works until it doesn't. On a Sunday in October 2005, Antwan took Janae and Marcus to Palmer Park, let them run in the fallen leaves, watched them play, felt the autumn sun on his face. Angela sat beside him on the bench. "What you thinking about?" "How different everything is." "Better?" "Much better." "You ever think about her? About what could have been?" "Sometimes," Antwan admitted. "But then I remember. It couldn't have been anything else. She didn't believe in me, didn't believe in us. And you can't build a life with someone who's already decided you're not enough." Angela kissed his cheek. "Her loss was my blessing." "Mine too." They sat in silence, watching their children play. The Detroit skyline visible in the distance. The same city that had raised him. The same streets that had shaped him. The same community that had taught him to turn pain into purpose. Antwan Grant was a billionaire now, but more importantly, he was at peace. The smart grid had blessed him, but the real blessing was learning that his worth was never determined by someone else's inability to see it. That legacy was worth more than any fortune. Author's note: this story is dedicated to every man who was told he wasn't enough by someone who couldn't see his value, who worked in silence while others doubted, who built empires from broken promises. Your story isn't over. The best chapters are still being written. Detroit Chronicles, where the streets remember everything. That's another chapter from the Tales and Stories fam. If these stories take you back to the D you remember, or help you understand the D you never knew, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Drop a comment and tell us your Detroit story. What block you claimed, what party store you remember, what ride you were pushing. Follow us on the gram at Detroit Tales and Stories for behind the scenes content and rare photos from the era. Until next time, keep the D alive in your heart. Peace.